All right, today we are diving into something that is, honestly, just wild. We're talking about the development speed of Anthropic's AI model Claude. And let me tell you, the pace they're setting is not just fast, it's completely changing the game.
Okay, just think about this for a second. What if your favorite app or your phone's operating system got a real, meaningful update, not once a month, not even once a week, but more than once every single day? It sounds kind of impossible, right? Well, that's exactly what's happening with Anthropic and Claude.
And no, that is not an exaggeration. Look at this number, 74. In just one 52-day stretch, Anthropic pushed out 74 separate product releases for Claude. That is nearly 1.5 updates every single day. And they kept that pace up for almost 2 months. This isn't just moving quickly, it's a totally different level of velocity.
So first, let's just try to get our heads around this incredible speed. We're all used to waiting months for the next big AI model to drop, right? Well, that era is over. We're in a new reality now where these things are evolving almost daily. And just to be super clear, we are not talking about little bug fixes or tweaking the font size. No. These daily updates include huge features. We're talking enhanced computer control, whole new plugin marketplaces, bigger memory, massive improvements to how Claude writes code. They're even pushing out core upgrades to their big deal models, Opus and Sonnet. I mean, these are the kinds of features other companies would plan a whole marketing event around. So you've got this fire hose of daily tweaks, right? But on top of all that, they're still dropping major model revisions. For example, a recent update made Claude way better at handling really long tasks and following complex instructions. And all this was happening while those smaller features were also rolling out. So how? How is this even possible?
Well, that brings us to the engine behind it all. And it's a concept that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, but it's very, very real. It's AI building AI. Anthropic has basically turned its own product into its most powerful tool for development.
Anthropic actually released some of their own internal data, and it pretty much reveals the secret. Get this, nearly 60% of the daily work their engineers do is now powered by Claude itself. They are dogfooding their own product on a massive scale, using their AI to help them write code, debug it, and get it out the door.
And the results? They're just staggering. For an average engineer there, we're talking a 50% boost in productivity. But for their power users, the people who really know how to use the tool, that number jumps to over 100%. They have literally doubled the output of their best engineers by having them team up with the very AI they're building.
So what this creates is this incredibly powerful, self-reinforcing loop. Think of it like a flywheel that's just getting faster and faster. It's a simple cycle, really. The engineers use Claude to code faster. Faster coding means they can ship more product releases. All those new releases and data make Claude itself better. And a better Claude, well, helps the engineers code even faster. The machine is learning how to speed up its own creation.
So, what does this relentless pace actually feel like for the people using the product? Well, it's creating this really fascinating split in the user community. It's this wild mix of absolute awe and some very real burnout.
On one side, you have pure excitement. You see quotes like this all the time. People see this insane momentum, and they're convinced it's this huge competitive advantage. For them, this speed isn't just a feature. It's the strategy that's going to help Anthropic win the whole race.
But then, there's the other side, and this quote just captures it perfectly. People are feeling overwhelmed. The developers and power users trying to build on top of Claude are really struggling to keep up. It's like, just when they figure out a new feature, bam, 3 more have already dropped. The changelog has become required daily reading.
So you really have two sides of the exact same coin here. On one hand, you've got this incredible excitement about the sheer momentum, this huge competitive mode they're building, and this rapid evolution. But on the other, you've got total exhaustion. People are overwhelmed with features, the documentation can barely keep up, and it's constantly disrupting their established workflows.
And this all leads to a really critical question we have to ask. We need to see this as a strategic trade-off. Is this breakneck speed a brilliant strategy? Or is it possible that Anthropic is just moving too fast? The trade-off is pretty clear when you lay it all out. The pros? They're undeniable. You get massive market momentum, you get big companies signing up, and you build a competitive advantage that's tough to beat. But the cons are just as real. You're risking technical debt, you're burning out your users, and as we've seen, it can lead to more stability problems and even outages.
So where does that leave us? Well, it brings us to the final analysis. Anthropic is making an incredibly audacious bet here. The question is this just a temporary sprint to grab market share, or are we looking at the new standard for how AI gets built?
When you really boil it down, the core philosophy driving Anthropic seems to be this. In the world of AI, where things compound on themselves so quickly, standing still is basically the same as falling behind. For them, speed isn't just a strategy, it's what you need to do to survive.
The machine learned to build itself faster. I mean, just listen to that quote. It's powerful. It's a little bit chilling, to be honest, but it perfectly encapsulates what is happening here. This isn't just about human engineers working late nights. It's about the tool itself becoming a partner in its own acceleration.
And that leaves us with a million-dollar question. Is this a sustainable advantage that's just going to leave everyone else in the dust? Or is it a really risky sprint that's going to burn out their users, their systems, and maybe even their own team? Right now, there is no easy answer. But one thing is for sure. Anthropic is forcing every single one of us to rethink the very definition of speed.